people? Master Avi here with another tutorial for your LIFEFORCE sabers, okay? This one's going to be a little bit of a long tutorial, longer than the other ones. We're going to go over a few different techniques that lead up to a single trick. So the trick we're going to try to lead up to is conveyors, okay? And so to pull this off, we need a few different techniques. We're going to need the wrist roll, okay? You need to know how to roll on your wrist. Okay, we do that again slowly. So it's the same thing as a backhand roll. Instead of it rolling on your hand this time, it's going to roll. On your wrist. Okay, so you need to be able to get that roll on the back of your wrist. Let me turn so you guys can see this from the side. So we want that roll to happen on the back of your wrist, like that. Okay, just like that. So work on building that up. The back of the wrist roll is going to be step one. Okay. So once you can do that with one hand, we're of course going to try to build that up nice and slow into doing it with two hands. And that was a little messy there. But we want to be able to roll on the back of two hands with our wrist rolls. Okay. So now we're really getting into the area of contact moves with the saber. Okay. So there's our, and that was a bad one. But work on getting your wrist rolls nice and flat across your wrist. The trick to doing this is to really try to get the balance point to go right in the middle of your wrist like this. Okay, and then you're going to bring your other hand in and try to keep them level as it transfers to the other wrist. Okay, and so get the hang of just doing this sort of thing where you move the balance point from one wrist to the other. Okay, and then you'll get the idea of how to transfer on the back of your wrist. Okay, do this in both directions, of course, and work up to getting comfortable with the wrist roll. Okay, that's part one of this move is the wrist rolls. Okay, so building up to the conveyor here, which is going to combine all of these techniques together, we're going to need the elbow roll. Okay, so with the elbow roll, you really want to make sure that you're getting in a flat horizontal plane with your elbow. Okay, so when you bring this forward, and you might need to just do some stretches starting out, okay, to get your arms nice and loose, do some stretches. Okay, don't just jump into this right away without stretching out and warming up first, guys. I can't stress that enough. Okay, but to do the move, you're just going to take your hand straight out in front of you. You're going to lift your palm straight up. Okay, and this is similar with a lot of your back of the wrist techniques. So you want to be able to lift your palm straight up, and then if you drop it down, even if the saber rolls, it'll run into the back of your hand. There's less chance of you dropping it. Okay, so if you hold it straight up too high, it'll roll towards you. If you hold it down, it's going to roll away from you. So find a comfortable spot where you can keep it there. Okay, and get used to holding this on the back of your wrist. Maybe even lift it up and down, move it around. Get used to the saber being on the back of your wrist. Okay, and that's really important. Learn that balance point. Learn how to get comfortable with it being there. Okay, a lot of tricks are going to rely on that. Make sure you do that with both hands. Place it there. Get used to the idea of keeping your saber balanced on both wrists. Okay, now to do the elbow roll, you're going to need to flex your wrist up. Okay, get your arm as flat as you can possibly get, and then bend your hand in so that your arm creates a flat plane where you could potentially just lay your saber across like this. Okay, and so this is the first step. I have the balance point right in the middle here. I don't know if you can see, right in the middle of my arm, between the opening here. There's an opening, and then the balance point's right between there, so it can just sit perfectly flat. Okay, and this is where you want to get in order to accomplish your elbow rolls. Okay, the next thing you're going to have to be able to do is remember to keep that wrist flexed. You're going to bring that wrist out like this. Okay, that's the next step to building up to the conveyor. So getting this nice and flat is very important. So the elbow roll is just, you're going to place your elbow up like this, and it doesn't matter if you keep your hand straight up like that. I just make sure you get it in a flat position. Then you're going to bring your saber up. It doesn't matter if you do this with the blade end up or with the butt end up. I prefer the butt end personally. But come up underneath your arm here and turn to the side so you can get a good view. We're going to come up underneath the middle of our, right about in the middle of our arm between the shoulder and the elbow. Okay, bring that balance point up, and we're going to roll the saber so that it goes right into that same spot on our elbow. Okay, and catch it on the other side. That's the elbow row. Okay, that's very simple to do. That's the elbow row. Just bring it up like this. Okay, and get that saber to go across into the other hand. Okay, so we're tossing or rolling from here, and we're going to move that left hand over and catch on the other side. Just like that. That's an elbow roll. Okay, so get the elbow roll down. Get comfortable with doing it. Obviously, of course, practice it with both hands. Make sure you can get it nice and flat. Okay, and that was terrible. I didn't catch. I was going into the move. Okay, but make sure you get it nice and flat. I'm just programmed to naturally try to do a conveyor. Try to get it nice and flat when you roll it across there, and keep it slow and controlled. Okay, and that's it. That's the elbow roll. Okay, so now we're going to start to try to connect these things together. So working on just one side. Of course, we're going to work on both sides with the saber spinning in both directions. Okay, but just starting out, start with your right hand is what I'm doing. We're going to build from the right hand. So we got our elbow roll now. Okay, the next thing we want to do is after the elbow roll, instead of catching it here, okay, instead of catching it here, we're going to move our arm straight out like this. And let me turn to the side so you see this. We're going to move our arm straight out like this in the same plane. And the saber is going to continue to spin into that back of the wrist roll. And then we're going to catch it with the opposite hand. Okay, so we're building this up. So we're going to come under just like this, roll it, straighten our arm out. It's going to roll on the back of the wrist, and we're going to catch it here. I'm going to show you. Just like that, okay? Now try to get this in the center plane. That one was a little bit sloppy, but I'm also trying not to hit my ceiling in the house, because if I hold my arm up parallel, my saber runs into the ceiling. So try to keep your arm flat, and then you want to just extend that arm out to get the back of the wrist roll after your elbow roll. So it's going to come up. I'm going to show you again in slow motion if I can. Roll over here. We're going to extend. It's going to roll on the back of the wrist, and then we're going to catch it. And this is what it looks like. Sloppily trying to avoid hitting the ceiling. Okay, so this is really difficult to do when you're trying to avoid holding your arm flat. So make sure you get your arm flat, okay? Just like that, okay? So back of the arm, back of the wrist. I'm so worried about hitting the ceiling, and there's a ceiling fan here too. So, but back of the arm, back of the wrist, like that. So you could even catch with the same hand or the opposite hand, okay? Just like that, okay? Now we're building this up. Remember, we did our wrist to wrist roll starting out, which was this move, okay? We're building up to that. So now we're going to add that little bit in, trying to keep our hands and arms in this flat horizontal plane. 1, 2, almost. 1, 2, 3, okay, to the other wrist. I'm trying to show you in a sort of freeze frame thing. 1, 2, okay, 1, 2, 3. That's how you build up, okay? 1, 2, 3 is where we're going off to the other elbow, okay? So this is building up to your conveyor, which of course once you transfer to the other wrist, and I'll go over how to do this second part of the move too, but once you transfer to this other wrist, we're going to do that move we learned on this side with the extension in reversed. So it's going to be here, we're just going to bring our arm in, and the saber is going to continue to roll, and then we're going to catch it over here as it comes off the other side. Okay? So that's the entire conveyor move. It's going to go from here to the extension here, back of the wrist, other wrist, bring our arm in, it's going to roll over here, and then we're going to catch over there. Okay? So it looks like this. Without me trying to bash my ceiling up, the conveyor looks like this. So keep working at it, okay, and you'll get it. Just keep practicing, and you'll get it, okay? Keep working on getting it nice and flat, and you'll build up to having really nice conveyors that look really neat, okay? So keep practicing, guys. Let's go over that, the last pull-in extension move. So after the wrist transfer here, we have to pull our hand in. I was talking about that, so it gets in a flat plane here. Let's go over that move, but we'll do it with the right hand, okay? Because then you'll understand it just a little bit better before you start trying things with your left hand. But do it with both, because going in both directions is important. So I've been doing the conveyor going in this direction, but you should develop going both ways with flow, so you develop both sides, okay? So let's do that move going the opposite way with our right hand, okay? So we want to start, the way you can really find out the place to place your hand on your grip is start at the top grip of your saber, and then do a backhand roll. That's going to place you somewhere in this lower area. That's usually about a good area to start. I'm going to go a little bit over further, okay? And so we're going to go about there, all right? Now we're going to start doing a reverse backhand roll. So instead of 4, we're going to do a reverse. Saber's going to go this way. So we're going to start to rotate our wrist this way. It's going to go in the back of the hand, and we're going to bring it in, okay? Just like that. And you can actually trap it here, okay? This is a trap zone. So we can reverse that, trap it. Reverse the move here, past the balance point, bring it up, trap it, okay? And we're doing this very, very slow so you can try to get an idea of how to understand the inertia, okay? So that's the move, just like that. Nice and slow, speeding it up a little bit, okay? Until we get that reverse off the arm catch, okay? So a little bit more momentum, and it's gonna roll off, okay? So that's what you do, is you build up your momentum and work on getting it to roll off when you bring your wrist in, okay? And I'm like hitting the door, but hopefully you can, watch out for the fan, but hopefully you can get the idea of getting enough rotation to where it's not too fast, okay? But it's not too slow, because if it's too slow, then you're not going to have enough spin. It's going to get stuck, okay? And if you don't, it's going to get stuck. So it's going to get stuck something like that. And if you spin it too fast, obviously it's going to go out of control. So you want to really just learn to develop exactly how much you need to spin your saber, okay, to get it on the back of your wrist, and then bring that hand into the elbow roll, okay, and then try to get it as horizontal as you can as you transfer there, okay, and do this with both hands, okay, and then once you get good enough, just connect them together, and there you go, you've got your conveyor. So hopefully that helps, guys, and keep practicing, and I can't wait to see your guys' progress.